So today I think I'm going to build an extension, or maybe even two extensions, for my Festool miter saw here. By the way, love this saw. I had a miter saw that was, I think it was a Sears, what do you call it, Craftsman miter saw, and it was great for doing things like molding, and I used to help a guy finish some basements when I was a lot younger, and it was great for that. It was just a chop saw basically. It didn't have the radial arm functionality like this guy does. This saw is amazing, amazingly precise. You can get super fine cuts. I've also modified, added stuff to the fences. I have this kind of adjustable stop block here where I can actually even do some fine adjustment on it without having to unscrew it or anything. And then I've got holes in the bottom that take a dowel pin, so I've got a lot of versatility there. And if it's in the way, I can either just take the dowel pin out, or I can unscrew it, and then this is just a sacrificial fence that I made a zero clearance fence out of, if that's all I need. So my problem is when I'm cutting long stock, I don't have, this is a Festool table that it's sitting on, and it's mounted, so it doesn't move. But I didn't build it in with another table that was higher, that matched the height of the bed here. So I'm going to build something that mounts to the T-track on this Festool table, and then comes up even and maybe has some adjustability here for height. And then we'll come out and then have another foot that will sit on my workbench here that's also adjustable, so I can make sure it's completely level. And since it's going to mount in the T-track, it's going to be fairly solid and firmly connected to the table. This side I might make one that just is a short extension that maybe will go out 2 feet or something from the edge here. But yeah, it's just something I've always wanted to build. Now that we're on, not really locked down, but close enough where we're not really supposed to be mingling with people due to the virus scare going on right now. So with that in mind, I thought, well, this is a good time to do that project. So today I had my choice. I could either continue working on my bookcase shelves here, which are pretty close. I need to sand them and then paint them, and I'm really avoiding the painting because I hate painting. Or I could work on this project, which I've been meaning to do for quite some time. So I think I'm going to do this, and I'm probably going to use some scrap ply, 3/4 inch ply. And I just have to get some T-track stuff and a couple of knobs so I can make it adjustable. In fact, I need probably 4 knobs because I want to adjust it on both sides. And go from there. So let me see what I can dig up. Okay, so I've kind of got a rough design for this piece. I think I'm only going to make it this long, and that is 31.5 inches, mainly because I got 2 pieces of this scrap sitting over there. And then I'm going to have to put 2 adjustable pieces on the ends. On the end that goes on my workbench, I think I'm going to use 2 pieces of wood and these bolts. So I'll adjust it to where it's the right height for the bench, and then kind of lock it down with these nuts and lock washers. And Maybe I'll put the knobs on this end, and the end that goes against the miter saw, I'll use the lock washers, because that's not going to change. So I'm going to just lock it down good and tight. This, I don't know, I'll figure it out. Anyway, these are T-track bolts. They're going to go in my Festool table, and that's what's going to hold the riser that mounts to the bottom of this in place. So now I'm trying to decide, do I want to put a dado in here, or do I want to just pocket hole it? I think I'm just going to pocket hole it, and probably, I might even glue it. No, I don't need to. I'll just pocket hole it on both ends, and that way, if I need to, I can take it apart and rebuild if I need to, or reuse the pieces. Okay, so now I'm just going to start figuring out all the dimensions. I need a little spacer here because there's a little jog in the fence, or the base of the miter saw. So I need a little spacer to make sure that the lip is held up high enough. I think it's just a 3/4 inch piece, but I'll probably use a little piece of pine, so if I need to shave it down with my hand plane, block plane, I can just shave it down until it's the right height. And then of course these two are adjustable. So I think I'm going to work on this front piece first and get the dimensions, and figure out how I'm going to mount. I'm going to have to put slots in it so that I can raise and lower it to match the height of the miter saw, and then I'll use these to lock it into the T-track on the Festool table. So that's the next step. So I'm going to cut my first piece, which is the support that's going to go into the T-track. Here we go. I'm going to make this 9 inches, which this is obviously. Okay. I'm going to use some dust collection here. All right, here we go. Okay. So this is my piece. Okay, so this basically will go right in here and be adjustable up and down. So the main board is going to go across the top, and this will allow me to adjust it. So now I need to put in a couple of grooves, so I got to figure out how I'm going to do that. My choice is router, or use something like a scroll saw or a jigsaw. I think I'm going to use the router to do this. So let me get that set up. Okay, so I'm using a 3/8 inch straight bit in my router table here to cut these slots. I've set the stops up so that I have about 1.5 inches on each end. And what I'm going to have to do is kind of plunge router this. Rockler Pro Phenolic, I guess that's how you say it. Top. It's a pretty good top. I like it. Smooth. The fence came with it. It's a nice fence. It's got a lot of attachments and adjustability to it. These centerpieces can be moved in and out. In fact, I'm going to move this one in just a little. And there's a vacuum port on the back of it. So it's pretty nice. Got 2 lockdowns. It doesn't have a micro adjustment. I'm thinking about making one with a long screw and a nut and a clamp, but We'll see. I know they sell some aftermarket stuff. And then I'm using an Incra lift here. Went for years without a lift, and then finally broke down and bought this thing. They're not cheap, but I don't know how I ever lived without it. This, you know, changing bits and the manually getting under there and twisting the router up and down, trying to get the exact measurement was a nightmare. The other thing this Incra lift comes with is a bunch of plates with varying size holes. This one's actually too big for this bit, so I'm going to change that as well. And they're magnet. These are all magnets in here, so you can see it comes with varying sizes. This is a little too small. The one thing I always have to keep in mind is that this vacuum also, I've got a box down below here that's around the router, and it has vacuum on it as well. So if this hole is too small, you don't get any vacuum through the hole. You know, and that's the one problem with zero clearance stuff, is that you actually reduce the effectiveness of your vacuum system, in my opinion. So, I've not done any scientific studies on this or anything. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to reset this up. So this is about 7 1/8, and I think I'm going to just set this at 7 1/8, and I'm going to the center of the bit there. And again, this is not rocket science. It doesn't have to be exact. This is setting the length of the hole that I'm going to cut in here so that I have adjustability when it's mounted to the fence. I actually don't really need that much, but I'm just going to go ahead and cut it evenly. So what this will do is I can go from one side to the other side, and I can flip it around and do the same thing, and it should be the same. And if not, I've overshot it quite a bit, so should be fine. The other thing is this bit is basically almost all the way down. It's just barely touching the wood. So I'm going to do my first pass right there. This is a lock, a spindle lock, or a lock for the adjuster here. I'm actually going to set this to 0. Let me just do that. Just set it right there. There's a scale on here that goes in the 64ths of an inch. So it's pretty, you can get some pretty fine adjustment on this. Like I said, I don't know how I lived without this Incra plate in the past. And then of course Rockler sells this rolling stand, and it comes with a power, I think it came with this power thingy. And then I built a little cabinet so I could put all my router bits and tools and whatnot in there. So this looks pretty good to me. I'm notorious for measuring 3 times and then setting it up wrong. So hopefully I've got this. I've got my vacuum system set up. I'm going to open the vacuum gates and turn that on real quick. Okay, so and I've got vacuum coming through there. I don't know how good the top one's going to do because I'm going to be covering the bit itself, so I think most of the dust is going to be sucked down to the bottom. This setup is really good. I get very little sawdust coming out of this. So the other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to have to start like this and let it plunge down, slide it over, turn it off, turn it around, and do it again. So here we go. Oh, I guess I need to plug it in. Okay, so now here we go. So there's my first cut. I think that looks pretty good. My screws, my T-bolts will go through that, and I'll be able to clamp down on it. So I'm going to do the other side. There we go. So now I'm just going to raise the router bit. These have to go all the way through this 3/4 inch. So I'm just going to do it in about. It's probably going to take me 3 or 4 passes. So let's see. There's 1 turn, 2 turns, 3 turns. That feels about right. I'm just gut feeling in it. Okay, so this is going to be my spacer. I don't know if you'll be able to see it from over there, but basically there's a little lip on this extension here that I need to raise the board up. So this is the this little piece of pine that I got that I'm going to mount to the edge of this board. And I think I'm just going to pop 3 screws in it. So I'm going to drill some pilots with. So I'm going to drill 3 countersinks. Don't have to be very big. I don't know, either number 6, number 8 looks good to me. Yeah. This is a Stanley Bailey number 4. I think it was built in the 50s. Reworked the handles a little bit, cleaned it up. It's got some pitting, but overall It's a good plane. Love it when those big shavings come out like that. I'm going to try my Lee Nielsen plane here. Just setting it up. Haven't used this much at all. I think this needs to be set up better. Okay. Well, that's not doing so hot, is it? Let's, I'm gonna have to work on that one. Something's going on with my mic and my sounds today. So this one's doing okay. So far, this one's working by far the best. Okay, so I'm going to work on my table saw, putting this pocket hole piece that I just created together. All right. So, it really doesn't matter what side I put the pocket holes on. Do it this way so you can see. Okay. These are 1¼ inch pocket holes, which are for 3/4 inch material. I'm pretty sure I've set this up correctly for 3/4 inch. Pocket holes are pretty easy to use once you got things kind of set up. I do need to clamp this though so it doesn't move. So, what's the best way to do this? I'm going to try and clamp the end, I think, here. Kreg makes this clamp that's, this goes in the pocket hole and this goes on the other side. one's kind of a little bit of a challenge from a clamping perspective because it's kind of in the middle here. There we go. I think if I can just get the middle one in, and then the other two will be fairly easy. So I got this clamp, oops, got one in early. Put the middle in there. And actually put this one in too. Do this. Do this. One more pocket hole. That is interesting. So this one goes. Okay, so I've pretty much just been making this up as I go along. So what I did is I made a couple slots in the motherboard off camera here, and I took this piece of scrap and I drilled 3 holes in it. What my thought is that I would use something like this, if I can hold on to it. Something like this would possibly a washer on this side, over here. I'm running out of T-bolts, or I ran out of T-bolts, so I'm kind of rigging this to work. So I put a washer on the back side, a washer, a lock nut here. I think that'll work. So this, I can adjust the height then. So I need the operating table. That's so I'm putting that 1 inch from the edge of the there. And do the same on this side. Put it 1 inch. There we go. 3 pocket holes. Whoever designed this pocket hole clamp did a really good job. go. Love it when a plan comes together. Maybe that's the right spot or not. That's my adjustable foot right there. Okay, so the adjustment's a little harder than I thought it would be, but overall, so I adjusted the ends piece here so it's level front to back and level with the bed, and pretty happy with that. It looks nice and level. I think I might round this front edge just a little bit, just round it over just a little bit, just with some sandpaper, so that, you know, as the board comes, it doesn't catch on there at all. But it shouldn't. Everything feels good. Once I've got my last piece done, finished gluing, this piece here, I'll screw this in. This goes under here, if you remember. And then I have the bolts and washers that will attach it to this T-track. So once it's on there, it won't move. This is mounted to the table. This will be mounted to the table and just resting on the